So I have something fun to share with you today. This is a program that I used with my youngest when he was around kindergarten, first grade age. And this has been one of my favorite programs that I have ever used with any of my children. It has created lasting memories and has lasting effects on his education that I have seen. And so this is Gentle and Classical Primer, and it is for ages 5 to 7. So I'm going to show you exactly how it looks and how it's laid out. So what I did was just print off the PDF, the primer, and then I divided it and put it into a binder. So now with the initial download, you do get a book list and instructions on exactly how to lay it out, and there's tons of helpful information. So I'm just showing you exactly how I had it laid out. I put it in page protectors. So a unit is a week, and it's front and back. So this is for 1 week. So you have a virtue, you have manners and hygiene, you have a hymn, you have a math concept to memorize, you have Knowing God Better section where you have catechism, Bible story, and scripture to memorize. You also have Wonder Tale and a nursery rhyme, okay? Then on the back, you will have your poetry for the week. She gives you a checklist of all the books you need, any other resources, and for your art. So your art and music are broke up down here, and it tells you exactly what print you will be studying every week, and then what art element you will study. And then you will alternate between composer and art. So week 1, you're doing art, and week 2, you're doing composer with an instrument overview. So for art, I just simply made an art and music tab in the back, and I kept it in sheet protector. So if she walks you through exactly how to do it, it comes with a Montessori 3-part cards. I don't have those to show you, but that's something that is available. She gives you a supply list. She tells you about how they will teach elemental art. And then term 1, unit 1, so week 1. So week 1, it tells you about the artist you're going to be studying and the art element, okay? It gives you an activity and gives you the materials that you'll need to do, okay? And so she walks you through it exactly. Then unit 2, week 2, you're going to be doing the composer. You're going to be going over an instrument and like music education type. So I kept all the art cards in just one of these folders here. I would pull out the art print or the picture of the instrument that we were going to use for that week, just so we can have a large picture of the object we're studying. So usually I would just hang these so we could look at them. And then also I would have like laminated cards, and some of these cards I've put up because he's memorized every single picture that we studied, and he could tell you, and he still can tell you, the name of every picture of art that we studied when we did primer. And so this is a wonderful introduction to art. And then so see how these are some that I had extras of, so sometimes I would ask him to match them. But this is like the elements of art that I was talking about. There's also cards for it, and it talks about lines, shape, form, and then it also has the instrument cards as well. So whatever instrument you are studying that week, you'll also have a card to review with. Okay, so flipping back to like the actual unit, so the art and the composer I did that 1 to 2 times a week, and I would just review different art prints that we've already covered, and he loved that, okay? But for each of these, you basically just have, if you're familiar with Gentle and Classical, you'll understand the memory boards. So a memory board is a board or a place that you make, and you will hang these memory statement cards. Now, at the time when we did primer, we did not have a memory statement board. I just kept these in shoe boxes, and in a shoe box, a plastic shoe box, the ones that we were going over. And I also had a section for the ones to review. And then before, to prep for the year, I just divided them all into Ziploc bags and labeled them so that I could just go and grab them easily. Okay, so for each subject, you will have a memory statement card. And so this will be what you work on the entire week, the entire unit. And you'll see at the bottom, it tells you which unit. So sometimes if they got jumbled up, you can just read at the bottom. And so it's been a couple of years since we've used this. I have several missing or that didn't get put back in its place. But that's the math cards. Then you will have your scripture and Bible. So your scripture memory, and then the Bible story you are reading. And then you will have a catechism question at the top, and then you will also have your virtue at the bottom. So these two make up really 4 different topics that you're memorizing. So that's just 2 cards versus 4. Okay, she combined those. And then poetry and Wonder Tale. So Little Tommy Tittlemouse would be the Wonder Tale. And then poetry, so poetry is, it just tells you the name of the poem that you are reading that week. And in the guide here is where the actual poem is. A lot of these you can find in a child's book of garden verses. And so I would just read them from that a lot of times. But those would be the Wonder Tale and poetry. And then you would have your manner cards. And you would use either the children's book of virtues or everyday graces, and sometimes both, like here. So everyday graces, I think, is out of print now. I found it used, and it is a wonderful book if you can find it. But you can see, and so that would just be their memorization for the week. And so you would be reading books to go along with all the memory work that you have, and it worked really well for my son. Okay, so one of our favorite aspects of the primer was the Wonder Tales from the classic fairy tale book. They read a lot from it, or the favorite nursery rhymes. So between these two, she would always have a storyboard. And so what a storyboard is, it's basically a background, and she'll tell you exactly which background you need printed. And I laminated my backgrounds just because, so they'd be a little more durable, because we use these throughout the week. And so what the child would do, they would hear the story, you would read the story to them, and then they would come and recreate the story with their storyboard and their little characters. Now, most of the time I put them on popsicle sticks, and I might tape this to the wall, or sometimes we just left it laying on the floor and we didn't use the popsicle stick so much. But this was absolutely one of the best things that has happened to my son as far as his educational journey has went, because this helped him with narration. It helped him get accustomed to narrating a book back to me. And it was so fun to him. As I was pulling all this out, actually, he pulled several of the storyboards and was playing with them and retelling the stories that we learned a couple of years ago. So this has really stuck with him, and he loved the storyboards, and it was such a sweet memory. And for the storyboard printables, she always has a list, and she'll tell you the 3 Little Pigs is unit 1, meaning week 1, and this is what you will need. Okay, this is all the backgrounds, and sometimes it's not as much as with this story. Obviously, some stories have more characters than others, and this was been just so much fun. So this was one of my absolute favorite curriculums that I've ever used in our homeschool journey. So this is 36 weeks. There's an appendix in the back, but this was 36 weeks. And this was absolutely wonderful, and I recommend it to anyone who is kindergarten age. Maybe you could even group children together for maybe kindergarten through or preschool through first grade. So this is a phenomenal program. She says that it is for children's ages 5 to 7.